in talking about minutes and meetings, one of the issues we need to look at is the bylaws. When I look at taking minutes for a meeting, Robert's Rules is very specific, and that is we need to identify that there was a quorum. It doesn't say we have to take attendance. It just said, did we have enough people to make this decision based on what we thought enough people would be? The vote belongs to the body, not to the individual. So Roberts allows us to receive anonymity, if you will, by hiding behind the group so that we all stand equal and together, but that the group is putting themselves out. A very good concept, so that we have the solidarity of the choices that we're making and we stand together. I mean, that's great. The problem is sometimes our bylaws bump up against Roberts. Now, first of all, bylaws rule. Roberts supplements. So if you've got a rule and you've got in your bylaws and a rule in Roberts, bylaws comes first and then Roberts becomes subservient. If your bylaws are silent in an area, then Roberts steps forward and takes precedent. All right, so now let's look at where the bylaws can create a more onerous responsibility than Roberts ever intended, and that is in the taking of attendance. This whole issue is food for thought for you. I don't think we really stop to think about some of the stuff that we have in our bylaws, and I have a great deal of regard for people who sit on bylaws. The problem is that sometimes we don't think about the unintended consequences of an action. And here is where one simple culture rule, a rule to manage our culture, creates a legal problem, potentially, if there's a lawsuit. And that is in the taking of attendance. When you look at your bylaws, read the section that may require you to take attendance for meetings, board meetings specifically. And it says that if you've missed at least 3 meetings and they weren't excused, that you're off the board. Okay, makes sense when you're thinking about it, because when that rule was created, you probably had some sort of culture issue in which people weren't taking the responsibility serious. So you put in this attendance rule, and so that if someone were not committed, that you'd be able to easily ask them to go. I think there are other better ways to do it, but this is one. So now we have, if you miss at least 3 meetings. Here's the issue that I have, and that is, first of all, from the minute standpoint, we've outed everybody. The anonymity has been removed that Roberts truly intended. So now we have literally a hit list for people for subpoenas when the time comes. I don't think that's a great thing. It's not the most horrible thing, but it's not great. But now let's look at the unintended consequences of this bylaw. Because in creating this rule so that we can fortify our culture, the problem is that you have the word, usually, excused absence in there. Well, here's my question. What is the definition of an excused absence? What's the criteria for an excused absence? And who does the excusing? Let's look at both. First of all, what constitutes an excused absence? Is it me just calling? Can I email? Is it someone's in the hospital? I'm in the hospital. Is it only death? Is it my death? I mean, clearly then I'm not coming, but is it a member of the family? What part of the family? Is it something at the office? I mean, do you literally have criteria for what constitutes an excused absence? Is a home inspection an excused absence? It's a question you need to know the answer to. Now, here's the other side. Who does the excusing? Is it the CEO? Is it the president? Is it the leadership team? Is it the board of directors? And could that be arbitrary? Wouldn't that be problematic? First of all, I don't think that any CEO should be the one who makes a determination as to whether someone's excused or not, because you have a job to lose, and it makes no sense to me that your job would be on the line. So this becomes a leadership or member area, and now would one president do the excusing, but a subsequent president look at that very same item and not deem it being excusable? Well, those are the inconsistencies that create problems. So what does your bylaws say? Are you following your bylaws? Because you don't have any latitude to not follow your bylaws. Look at what you have. If it's a culture issue you were trying to fix, maybe it would have been much better for you just to go out to find the right people to serve, rather than create a rule that can create a situation in which your board could be sued over because someone didn't appreciate your ruling, because there wasn't either good criteria or they felt that the person or entity that was doing the excusing was arbitrary. Something to think about, and it's just one thing out of all those bylaws you have that could create problems for you. Time to review your bylaws. And here's another suggestion. Why don't you throw them out and start over? I think that'd be a whole lot easier. The model bylaws from your national organization are great. And now you could take those model bylaws, layer on what you thought was a good idea, and see if it's really necessary. The more those bylaws are sterile, the better off it is for you. Have all the details in your policies and procedures where they really belong. Take a look at the bylaws. You may be surprised.